Hey, you sexy YouTube mother lovers. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for our first AK review. Let's go check it out.
Dude, you're not Brandon Herrera. What are you doing?
I'm the Wish.com version of Brandon Herrera.
I'm Wish.com with a severe discount. Get out of here.
Okay.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. That's right, as Steve said in the intro, we are doing our first gun overview of an AK variant, a Zastava M92 AK Krink style pistol. Before we even get into talking about this gun, I want to make something very clear to our viewers. I am not very familiar with AKs. Now, I did do a little bit of research just to figure out some of the things on here so I use the right terminology. In my research, I found that there are quite a few people on the internet that will get offended if you call this a Krinkov. There are a few things that even my untrained eye will catch that differentiate this from a Krinkov. First off, the muzzle. Out of the box, the M92 comes with a muzzle nut. You can just cut the weld off with a Dremel and you expose the threaded barrel. So you can actually then get a Krinkov style muzzle booster that is made by Zastava. It's made specifically for this gun because the booster will not work from other guns. Hey everyone, I just realized while I was editing the video that we lost some of the audio there, and I just wanted to call out another difference between the M92 and the Krinkov is the round it's chambered in. The Krink is chambered in 545 by 39, whereas the M92 is chambered in the 762 by 39. Just wanted to call that out real quick. Now back to the video. The other major difference is there is no stock or brace on this pistol. Can't really put a stock on this unless you want to SBR it. At the time of filming this, braces are still legal in the United States, but come the end of December, who knows what the ATF is going to tell us. Yay! If this is your first time coming to the channel, welcome to the Phantom Llama's Den. We do gun reviews, we do gun science videos. We do a lot of just fun stuff with firearms, some gun talks, that kind of thing. I highly encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, watch some of our past videos, see what we're about, and stay tuned for our future content. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for 2023, especially when the weather starts to warm back up again and we can get back out to our private range on a regular basis. Another disclosure, this is not my firearm. This M92 was loaned to me by a very good friend. You know who you are, and thank you. I am in no way receiving any kind of compensation to review this other than any views, likes, subscribes that we get. You remember what they told me I had to do, right?
Way high.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
That's honestly not terrible. This gun is not a perfect gun. I don't think this gun has been fired in at least 20 years. It was dry as a bone, so I had to lubricate it. There are a few things on it, like the safety is very stiff. Now, I don't know if that's Zastava out of the box, or if that's just because this gun needs to be broken in or re-broken in, as it were. That said, I am 99% sure I will be buying this in the coming weeks / month. I really like this gun. There's your TLDR for this video. Hi. Let's get into a breakdown of the Zastava M92. As I said, this is classified as a pistol. It has an 8.5-inch barrel, and that's why it doesn't have a stock. Otherwise, this would be an SBR. That would make this be an NFA item. Then you'd have to register it. Moving down to the foregrip, I'm not an expert on wood, but I think this is either a birch or a beech foregrip. It's unfinished. It's not really very well refined. It does the job and it's very light so that it doesn't add a lot of weight to the front end of the gun. If I had to describe this in 1 or 2 words, I'd say it's minimalistic, utilitarian. I will say it fills my hand pretty nicely. I mean, again, it's nothing flashy, but it feels good in the hand. It's a nice grip. I will say that if you do end up buying a Zastava M92, Zastava makes some polymer foregrips with Picatinny or more tactical options. So that is always something you can do if you don't like the wood furniture. The pistol grip at first sight, at first glance, was pretty underwhelming. It's just a polymer hand grip, but then I hold it and it feels actually really good. And then I notice that on the left side, there is actually a groove for your thumb. My thumb fits very naturally into that thumb groove. So that's a nice little thing. And from what I found, Zastava is really the only company that does this. That's pretty neat. Let's move back up onto the sights, because this was something else I noticed. In my limited understanding of AKs and how AKs work, one of the places that you don't really want sights to be mounted are the dust cover. And look where we have the rear sight on the M92. It's mounted in the middle of the dust cover. I was pretty wary of that. I was thinking, well, this isn't going to hold zero very well at all. I take that back, because the dust cover is actually hinge mounted. This actually locks down pretty well, and when it is in place, there is absolutely no give. The rear sight on this holds zero very well. That said, just because the irons work really well mounted on the dust cover doesn't mean that I would feel too comfortable mounting a traditional optic or something a little fancier like an AKOG on top. Oh, right, I have an AKOG now. It's not quite what you think, but I'm really excited. Now, the M92 does have an interesting thing. Both the front and rear sights can be flipped. There's two options here. You have your normal iron sight, which is just a grooved rear sight, and the front sight is just your standard front sight. But if you then flip up the sights and flip the back one around, you have what Zastava calls low light sights. The rear sight has 2 white dots on it, and then the front sight has 1 white dot. Now, I didn't shoot this in a low light setting, but as a person that uses tritium night sights on his handguns, I don't see how the white dots are going to be that effective. I actually prefer the white dots for just normal shooting. In all honesty, I don't think that either is that much better or worse than the other. I think it's really just going to come down to personal preference, whether you use the traditional iron sights or the white dot irons. Okay, let's move on to the trigger. As you can see, there's no magazine. Clear, this gun has been rendered safe. All right, safety is off. I'm used to AR-15 triggers. I'm used to Glock and Glock-like triggers. I was really confused by this one. As I was playing around with it, I realized it almost feels like a 2-stage trigger. So there's the take up. I don't know if you can hear it, but then you hear a click, and that's your wall. You pull through, and then it fires. But after you've gotten to that first stage where you hear that click, and then you're pulling through the wall, I swear the release occurs differently each time. Maybe it's because this needs some love, maybe it needs some lube, but I think it might just be the AK style trigger. It's not a heavy pull. Once you hit the wall, 6.5 pound pull, but with the mush in there, you know what it feels like it should be? It feels like this should be a fully automatic gun that you would just pull and dump rounds for suppressing fire. Imagine that. There are 2 things on this firearm that I think need to be addressed, both in this video to viewers that might be considering a Zastava M92, and me as most likely the future owner of this firearm. And they really do go hand in hand. First is the reliability issues that Steve and I experienced when we took this out to the range. You know why it isn't cycling as well? Because it doesn't... We experienced a number of jams with this gun. I think there are 3 culprits for the jams, the failures to feed, failures to eject. 1, there is no brace, there is no stock. And if you're gonna limp wrist a gas operated gun, you're gonna have jam issues. I truly believe that this firearm would benefit immensely from having a brace or a stock. The next issue, I believe, are the magazines that we were using. The gun was loaned to me with the original metal magazines, and it was also loaned with a polymer, a PMag. I think these magazines are pretty worn out. When we were trying to reload these, the rounds were having issues going in and staying put. They were trying to move forward. They were kind of slopping around, and it just wasn't loading very easily. So I then switched over to the polymer magazine, and I'll say that it's a little less forgiving, but once you get the hang of it, it does lock in. The first thing I noticed was there was no play once the PMag was loaded in, whereas with the metal one, it kind of rocked around just a little bit, almost undetectably. But it did stay locked in a little more firmly. The rounds were easier to load into the PMag, and they stayed in place. And when we were shooting rounds through the PMag, we weren't having anywhere near as many jamming issues. This is the last interruption due to sound issues, I swear. The third issue is probably the most obvious, in that the gun probably hasn't been shot in over 20 years. The gun is bone dry. It needs some love, it needs some care, and it just needs to be serviced properly. Gonna be taking it apart again, and we're gonna just get everything working, and I would be very willing to bet that it will fire much more smoothly the next time I have it out at the range. All in all, I really do like this gun. Like I said, I definitely want to buy this in the coming weeks, month. Maybe this will be a Christmas present to myself. I think this one's going to show up on the channel a few times. I think we might even do something a little like what we're doing with the Corvette on the channel. Have that kind of like an ongoing series of that as it gets restored and modded. Because I kind of see this as a cheap little project gun that I can work on while I'm doing some of my other bigger projects, and I don't want to give too much away. I've wanted a decent AK that wouldn't break the bank, and I think this really fits the bill. If you're looking for an affordable, decent AK, I would definitely recommend a Zastava M92. We have a very reliable platform here, and I think that after some time and some work on this, it's going to be excellent. I think that's going to do it for this video, everyone. If you have experience with the Zastava M92 or any of Zastava's firearms, sound off in the comments, and definitely stay tuned, because I think we're going to get some more videos out of this as we bring this back to its former Soviet glory. I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. If you did, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell icon for notifications on future content. As always, don't take life too seriously and make it a great day.